10, 9, ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey guys, thanks for joining. Oh, we're missing somebody. Uh-oh, hang on a sec. Hey! Almost left Alex behind. Geez, that would be a terrible show without the star being here. Hey guys, thanks for joining me tonight on another episode of Monday Night Slot Car Live, where we go live with the community. And today, I have Alex Duncan from AXEL Box and from Sunshine Speedway. Alex, thanks for joining us tonight, brother. I absolutely appreciate it. Oh, no. And then, of course,
hello, everyone.
I'll get this straight. So, thanks for joining us tonight, Alex. I absolutely appreciate it. And for everyone who doesn't know, this is Alex Duncan from AXEL Box and Sunshine Speedway. Now that you can see and hear him, thanks for joining us, brother.
You can hear me okay?
Yeah, we got you.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, so before we get going, and boy, do we have a lot to cover in a short amount of time tonight. So let's have a look and see who's in the house. As usual, I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. Looks like Facebook isn't going to let us go live. Whatever. Oh, well. Okay, so, all right. So, So Fast is in the house. Thanks for joining us, So Fast. I appreciate it. Welcome. Here's Daniel Thomas. Thanks, brother. Hi, Dan and Alex. Awesome. Here's one of my moderators and my HO guru, Robert Fish. Thanks for joining us, Robert. I appreciate it, brother. Anthony Bateman. Thanks for joining us. I just watched your last video you put out. Keep them up, brother. So Fast. Right on, brother. Hi, Dan, and special guest Alex. Thank you. Oh, let's go here. Hi, Alex. Hello, Alex, Anthony says. Here we go. Harry's in the house. Hi, Dan and Alex. This is the only person I know.
Quite the crowd.
Yeah, this is the only person I know from Winnipeg who does slot cars. So welcome, Backyard CNC. I haven't forgot, and we're going to get down racing very soon. Welcome. Fast Sports. Thanks for joining us, John. I absolutely appreciate it, buddy. Awesome. Dennis Osborne. Thanks, Dennis. I appreciate it, brother. Wouldn't be alive without Dennis Osborne here. I appreciate your friendship, Dennis. Thank you. There's Robert. Canadian. Woo! Got to always throw a little Canada in there, brother. No sense being Canadian if you don't show you're proud of it. All right. Easy's in the house. Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. Welcome, Easy. Awesome videos, man. Keep it up. Yeah, okay. Thank you. Yeah. All right. So Dennis Osborne. Okay. So looks like we've caught up. Let me get rid of the Doug Verbridge. Thanks, Doug. I appreciate it. Welcome. Okay. Viewers' comments will not be visible when streaming to Facebook profile unless Facebook stream is set to public. Oh, did I forget to set it to public? Oh, well. Okay. So we're here.
I'm following your lead. You're the expert on this, so I appreciate you inviting me.
So we're here, and we're going to now let's figure out who this gentleman is sitting in front of us. Now, I actually came across him, was very strange. I had no idea that AXEL Box and Sunshine Speedway were the same person. So my first interaction with Alex was trying to figure out who he was. And then, thanks to Dan 3Bean I absolutely appreciate it. Dan Wiley, thank you, my friend. It is absolutely because of him. I finally figured out who this gentleman here to my left or to the right, depending on where you're sitting.
Yeah.
Well, I've always wanted to know what the inspiration behind this, who it is we're dealing with, and what made you come up with this absolutely fantastic idea. But first, you're on my show, so I need to know what exactly is your story for Slot Car Glory. What brought you?
My, my story. Well, for years, probably 2 decades, I was a big RC guy.
Oh yeah.
Um, Team Losi, 100%. I didn't have a single car that wasn't a Losi branded vehicle. And then when the pandemic hit, the local tracks and a cousin of mine that lives in BC, we just never made any track time. So these cars of mine just, sitting on the shelves collecting dust and getting aged out were, not getting the use that they deserve. So I sold them all on Kijiji, Facebook Marketplace. And then I had a big wad of cash in my hand and went to
Oh,
the local hobby store, and I saw this Carrera digital set, and I thought to myself, why are these cars so expensive? I thought this is really expensive for slot cars.
right.
It just, I think the first set I bought was, it wasn't anything fancy, but it had the wireless controllers and two cars. And I thought I'd just give it a go and, set it up on the floor in the basement and realized just how interesting the digital part of it was.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's just kind of snowballed into what it is now. And that's kind of the origin part. And then the whole AXEL box part was, once you're in the digital world for long enough, you start to realize there's all these cars that you just can't get your hands on until you start chipping every single one of them.
Oh my gosh.
And doing the Facebook group, scrolling, searching, trying to figure out how to get your hands on one of these tech slot boxes, I realized that this device was highly sought after and kind of out of my price point with the folks that were selling them online.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured out how it worked and came up with my own 3D printed design. And from there, it's kind of just been, YouTube channel. You get the folks like yourself, like Marty. There's that saw car guy that were bold enough to take a chance on a product that I had built in my garage, and now it is what it is today. I've got a little pin board over here. I think there's just shy of 200 units of various layouts and designs that have been built and sold across the world. Basically, yeah, it's everywhere from Australia. There's one in South Africa,
Oh
probably
yeah.
2 dozen in Europe, and then the rest are all in the U.S. and Canada.
Oh, right on.
So
Right on.
it's been pretty interesting. I've met a lot of people, talked to lots of folks, countless conversations. It's great. There's lots of great people out there in this hobby, and I'm glad I made the switch from the RC world. That's for
Right
sure.
on.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'll speak. I'm lucky enough where I can actually speak to its usage and stuff, and that's something that we talked about before. Get a little usage under my belt, and I'll learn how to use it properly and that kind of thing. And oh my gosh, okay. Before I explain my how I look at the axle box in my house, let me just finish. I see we have some new people who came into the chat. Let's just say hi first, and then I'll get directly
Yeah.
into what I feel the axle box is. So this name just came up. Thanks, Marty. I appreciate you being here.
There's
Thanks
Marty.
for joining us, brother. It's good to see you in the house. Dennis, Anthony. Okay, Herrera's Carrera. Here's our digital guy. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you. Okay. Easy, Herrera's Fast Sports. Oh, here we go. This is the one. Wonderful to see you both chatting. Have to go. All right, brother. We'll see you, John. Thanks for stopping in, brother. I appreciate it. Okay. So, my experience with the Axle Box. First, as everybody knows, once again, I can't say it enough. I want to thank Dan Wiley, Three Bean Raceway, for donating the Axle Box to Slot Valley Racing. And in doing so, what I received from Dan, I believe, was the very first edition of the Axle Box.
That's right. Yeah, I think he was probably within the first 25 units, if I remember correctly.
Right. And so for myself, Dan had already chosen the color and stuff. And for me, the color worked out just fine. Of course, black fits any
Yeah.
track
Yeah.
in the pinch.
Black,
And
black and red, they've been the most popular. Yeah.
right. And he also sells the stop buttons in various configurations. And I've purchased those because I really like the idea of being able to stop the power to the track while the
Mhm.
timer keeps going. Because we all know Carrera becomes a pain in the rump. If people keep leaving the track, you have to wait through that agonizing 5-second countdown and hope to God nobody gets an itchy finger and jumps the trigger. With the stop buttons,
Yeah.
Alex got it figured out really nice. Shuts the power off, everything stops, the timer keeps rolling. For me, this is a really great thing because I'm a plug and play kind of guy. So the least I have to do to make everything happen nicely is a good thing. Now I have the buttons. You can see right. Hopefully, you can see behind me. There you go. So I got it in the red configuration here, and my other one is this way, and it's blue. I only got two because I only have corded controllers right now. They're true speed, but they are corded. So nobody's going to be walking away from the general area. So I've got two buttons for now. And for me, that works just fine because it's usually just me and my wife or me and a friend. And usually there's only a couple of us here. So two buttons works just fine, although the configuration can change dramatically. But in my experience, I really got involved with big time with the Revo slots. Uh, the Revo slot to me was the ideal slot car, and to me, the Carrera set was what really made me come to the large scale as well. And the problem now, we all know uh, these don't come chipped, these aren't digital. And for the first little while before I figured out how to chip the car, and now it's chipped with lights and stuff. If you guys haven't seen that, please check out my page, and
Mhm.
it's really cool. But otherwise, you're just running the car, and all your premium cars, none of them come digital. So the axle box would change the digital because you can't keep switching the pad. And for the price of the axle box itself, it is very affordable. When you think about it, you're going to chip 6 cars. You might as well just get the axle
Yeah.
box because then you've just chipped every car in your inventory, essentially. Unless, of course, you want to do individual racing with the higher end cars, then you have to digitally chip them, and that's not the show for today. The show for today is chipping them all. Essentially, is what Alex has achieved. So, you want to tell us a little bit about how you go about doing that?
Yeah. So there's two different configurations. The axle box that you have is the digital controller ready only configuration. So for folks that have a digital track and they want to use the wired or wireless controllers that are compatible with the digital system for both digital and analog mode, that box right there is the one that you would need. It's a simple two switch system and two buttons, and all it is just to allow you to code the lanes properly. Um, that box there, I think with your stop buttons, you had to wire those externally of the box. There is
Yeah.
another configuration where those stop buttons have quick connects that basically plug into the sides or even the underside. the nice thing about the product itself is I've had numerous folks say, "Oh, I want to have it mount to the side of my table, or I want to have it mounted under the table."
Right.
It's just a few minutes of adjustments on the CAD files to make that box cater to whoever's buying it. Um, the stop boxes themselves, they can mount to the top of the table, they can mount to the side or the underside, depending on how you want them arranged.
Yeah.
And it's just a quick conversation between the individual and myself to kind of paint that picture as to what they're looking for.
Hmm.
And then I just send them screenshots of the CAD files, and they give me the thumbs up, thumbs down on how they feel about it. And then with the stop boxes, if you remember the conversation we had, it's just a simple question of how long you want the cables to be made.
Right. Hmm.
Just to keep the plug and play aspect as easy as possible for the end user. I do all the hard work here. That way, for you, when it arrives, all you have to do is just do the soldering underneath the circuit board and the track pins, and then the rest of it's just plug and
Yeah,
play.
it was. I remember it being very easy, not
Yeah,
not hard at all, very simple.
yeah,
Even like I was saying for the buttons too, the buttons take a pounding. When I first demonstrated them, man, I was like, whoosh,
well, yeah, yeah. When people are in a hurry,
jam
they'll
them.
punch that button if they have to. Yeah,
Right? Yeah,
yeah,
it's like your racing career depends on it. So
yes, yeah,
the first thing I did was, oh, check it out, guys.
yeah,
So they hold up. They're
yeah,
really
yeah.
good. And
Yeah, and the boxes are sturdy. The new
yes,
printer I have prints the boxes a lot more denser than the previous printers I've had. So the new ones, I'm pretty sure you could drive a car over top of them. They're pretty sturdy. Don't test me on it, but I'm
right,
pretty confident in
right.
how strong they
You
are.
better keep your car
Yeah,
off
yeah.
your
That's
computer.
not a warranty claim issue. Yeah,
Yeah, right, eh? Tire mark across your
yeah,
axle box.
yeah.
That won't work. So, is has everybody here in the comment section heard of the Axle Box, or is this new to anybody? Because I'm kind of curious. I think lots of people know about it, but don't like know about it
Mm,
because, like most people, just put things out there and it doesn't really get seen, or nobody bothers to find a little backstory. And I don't mean like we're digging deep and we're gonna get your goods.
mhm,
No, we just need the story. What brought you here with your? I don't know. I always call it a fantastic device because what it does is, it's first off, it saves you hundreds, possibly thousands of dollars, and it allows you to run anything you want at any point in time.
mhm,
And that is, I think, what I really liked about it. Because
yeah,
for the first little while, I was actually okay with pulling the digital pad out and putting in the analog one.
mhm,
But man, you only need to drop a car on the track that's the wrong one and have it take off in reverse at full speed.
yeah.
You only do that a couple times, especially with your
That's right.
higher end cars,
Yeah,
because they're not made like Carreras where they'll take a beating. Reval slots
yeah.
fly apart when they hit
Have
things.
a $130 torpedo going in reverse. Yeah,
Right. Yeah. Right. So, and now
yeah.
that I chipped those Revos, they're like, being American, how expensive it is.
Mhm,
So that's like a $200 car now. So I'm very careful as to what I do with it. So now, like when I'm running them digitally, it's like, oh man, try so hard not to rear end one.
mhm.
Man,
Yeah, yeah,
it's so crazy.
yeah.
Um, does anybody have any? First I see we have some people who've joined us. DW Baker, thanks for joining us, brother. I appreciate it. Pretty cool thumb you got there, thumbnail. Very cool. Mike G, thanks for joining us, brother. Good to see you. Glad you joined us. And Pistol Pete just showed up. Got one. Right on.
All right. I remember talking to Pete. Yeah.
Yeah, brother. Thanks for
Yeah.
joining us. I appreciate it. Thank you, and thanks for buying Axle Box. Whew. Man, you're a lucky guy, just like the rest of us. We just got to get everybody else to know about it, right? It's
Yeah.
so cheap and so affordable. I'll tell you right now, the other guy is easily twice as much. The other guy is twice as much. That's all I'm saying.
You know, I try not to look at the competition because there's lots of other people out there doing it.
For
It's
sure.
no secret how it works, and you know, it's not a new product. There's always been, you know, the tech slot's been around for years, and it's made hundreds and hundreds of people happy.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And Joseph contacted me through Facebook, and you know, gave me his blessing. He said, "You're doing a good job. I feel like I'm able to just pull out from this race now." And he almost seemed relieved from, you know, having to take orders and stuff. And you know, I've been on his group page for quite some time, and you know, I see all the tech support questions that he has to handle, and they're not any different than the tech support questions I get. But he's been doing it a lot longer, and I give him full credit for being, you know, patient with people, because sometimes it's hard. You know, you
Yeah.
get not everyone's comfortable with a soldering iron, so you kind of have to ease them down. It's not going to be hard. I promise you can do this.
Right. And
Yeah.
let's now that you mentioned soldering, let's talk about my soldering skills.
Oh,
How'd they look when you opened the box? Do you normally have grommets in there too, or?
you know, there's different ways of doing it, and to be honest, as long as the wires are, you know, you give it the tug test and it
Yeah.
passes, it's going to work. There's
Right.
really no wrong way to do it, other than, you know, making sure that that back cover fits. I have
Yeah.
no, yeah, yeah,
I
no
can tell you
problem.
since then, uh, I learned a few tricks along the way. I also
Mm.
learned that my soldering iron was pretty much garbage,
Oh
and
yeah,
I was using a way too thick gauge
yeah, yeah.
solder.
Don't use plumbing wire. No, the least amount of solder, the better.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's what I was using, but it was my first go around. I figured, and then I
Mhm.
realized, as I had, a little connector in there and
Sure.
stuff, and I was like, oh, I'm not feeling overly confident here, right? Now
Yeah.
I'm absolutely sure I could do a better job. I mean,
Yeah.
I did the Revos, so obviously,
Yeah.
but
You don't want to put ounces of solder in those things.
right, and this
Yeah.
is where I was a little really sketchy. Like you seen
Mhm.
people removing the leads from the power on the board.
Mhm.
And I wasn't confident that if I removed those, I would be able to put them back on. So I
Right.
cut the cord.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
just cut it like an
There's
inch.
there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, for sure. There has been, I would say, maybe 10 units that I've sold where the folks have actually asked me to procure a board, you know, like a brand new CU,
Oh wow.
and assemble it for them. So that just gets shipped to them fully completed, and all they have to do is plug it in, and away they
Oh,
go.
that's a great idea.
Yeah, it only takes 30 minutes for me to do it. It's
Right.
not a lot of labor on my end. It's
And I
just the
could
cost, you know, the cost depending where they are. You know, if they're in the States, for me to ship a full CU with a 4.5 inch tall box mounted to the top can get a little bit more expensive
hmm
than if they just had it shipped to them direct. But not too many
but
people get too upset.
it's absolutely fantastic that you offer that, because what that does is now the person who just spent a half an hour thinking, can I do this, can
Hmm.
now just have
Yeah,
you do it, and maybe they didn't weren't aware that this is something that could happen before.
yeah.
Here's Dan. I'm always looking at the product. Not confident with the soldering though. See, this is a reinvest in a whole new digital set to incorporate my layout now. Maybe next year for
Mm-hmm.
me. But
Yeah.
it's nice to have the option,
And it's not another question for people to just mail their CU. You know, if they can afford to do without it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks tops, they can
right?
mail it to me and have it
And
sent back to them, ready to go.
and this absolutely works, guys. This is what happened with mine. Mine,
That's right. Yeah.
I had installed the AXEL box, and it needed to be adjusted. And I sent it to Alex, and
Yeah.
Alex sent it
I
back.
think there was an internal failure on one of the wires.
So
Yeah.
no problems.
Yeah.
Sent it to him.
Quick,
Sent it right back, man. No
quick
problems.
fix. Yeah. Quick turnaround.
Very, very cool. Um, Yeah, Marty's really enjoying his Ultra 4. Fantastic. Replaces my DUI converter.
Yeah, he had one of the very first Ultra 4s that was a prototype. Um, yeah, yeah, I had full faith that it would work for him, and I'm glad that it's still working well.
Yeah. That's
That's
awesome, eh?
what I'm running on my track now. I've got the Ultra 4. I've converted to the true analog resistive controllers, and I'll never go back. It just has a different feel. You can, yeah, the
I
digital controllers are great, but once you go to that resistive type, it just turns the game upside down in the
right.
analog world. Yeah.
And that's another thing too, right? Because with the AXEL box, you get to use your digital controllers if you
Mhm.
want, um, like the true speeds and that kind of thing. It's nice for me. I really enjoy my true speed controllers, man. They're so choice.
Mhm. Yeah, I never dipped into the higher end digital controllers, but I'd be
Yeah,
curious to try one.
yeah.
It might make the digital racing that much more entertaining.
It literally seems like it's night and day when it comes to the plunger. It just feels much
Yeah.
more right now, I guess.
The local analog club that I race at, they call me Thumb Drive because I showed up as a Carrera Thumb
Oh,
Drive
really?
controller. That's my nickname there.
Ah. Oh, look at this. Show Me Slot Cards is in the house. Thanks for joining us, brother. The pit garages will be here very soon, guys. So stay tuned. I'll have the full review for Pete and the rest of you. Absolutely fantastic. Another innovator in our community doing the same thing. He's got his pit garages, which are absolutely bonkers. On sort of on the same level as thinking about something like the AXEL box. Like for how did you ever come across that? Like you're having beers with the buddies, or doing what Canadians do, or you're just like, how can I do this? I don't know if I would have ever thought of this idea. Like it's a fantastic idea and it completely makes sense, but in passing, I don't know if I would ever come to that conclusion though. What led you to what was the epiphany, maybe, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
The first edition, the Axle box that you have, was more of a to fulfill my need to have a digital analog converter. But in the process of building one, I thought I might as well build 4 or 5 more and just see if there's anyone brave enough to take the bait on online. And when Travis at that slot car guy sent me a message saying I'll take one of them, I thought, okay, well this will be interesting. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And yeah, that one review he did back in, I think it was, I want to say mid 2022 was, yeah, that really turned it into an actual,
Something.
a potential side gig.
Yeah.
And I felt, I think it was around this time last year, I just felt that it needed something else to back it up. And that's when I started looking at those stop boxes that you've bought. And yeah, I mean, that was a prototype thing, and a couple people took the bait on that, and it's been quite successful. And I've got 6 of the, yeah, there you go. Look at the abuse that thing can take.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
just a
and I
quick
figured out
change
how
of
to
reset.
use it now too, right?
Oh, on how to reset it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Woo! Love it.
yeah.
Yeah, they take a beating, bro. That's the first thing I did was show it off. Check this out. Look what it can do.
Hmm.
Thankfully it could do what I thought it could do. So
Yeah,
yeah, it was all good, man. I'm very the quality is outstanding for sure.
yeah.
You
And
know.
then the Ultra 4, which some of you,
Yes.
there we go, may have seen. This
Hang
is
on.
the
Let me
2 lane or 4 lane if you want to. Oh, there we go.
yeah. There you go.
There we
Sorry,
go.
brother.
That's okay. So it's got a bunch of pinouts on the back and just a single switch on the front. Analog down, or sorry, digital down, analog up.
Right?
And this was created to fulfill the need of those that are interested in doing 4 lane tracks in both digital and analog. but the analog mode is strictly the resistive controller type. It doesn't yet allow for 4-lane digital control with the digital ready controllers.
Right.
I've done a few designs for that, but it involves the implementation of 4 of those Carrera chips, and
Oh,
it's just not cost feasible. And it's an immense amount of wiring, and ultimately, if you muck it up on your track with the wiring, then it's going to cause some pretty severe internal damage. So it's just not worth it.
oh, I see.
For a 4-lane digital track, I'm sure those out there that have 4-lane tracks, you probably run digital very infrequently, would be my guess.
Yeah, you see, you're right, because for me, when I had it, I found I was running the premium cars a lot more, and the premium being any of them that don't just come
Mm-hmm.
automatically with.
Yeah, because I'm sure in a 4-lane track, there's probably only one lane that's fast, so you're going to end up with all 4 drivers running that same line to the point where no one's passing each other. So
Right.
it's a 2-lane digital track. There's room for some action, but
Hmm.
I think a 4-lane track, you'd be hard pressed to see anybody
Like needing to do any.
riding in the outside lane or whatever.
Yeah.
They're probably taking the inside lane, whatever lane is considered to be the fastest, and so
Right.
I think it's just not worth it's not worth it. If you're going to go 4-lane, switch to true analog. This box will be the most competitive device out there to switch from 4-lane digital to 4-lane analog.
Okay, so I noticed that this one has one button and mine had two. Um,
Right.
yeah.
So the concept of how they work internally is different.
Okay.
The Axle box that you have is chip based. So instead of chipping the cars, you just chip the lanes,
Right.
and that's how the analog system works. It basically takes the output of that chip, instead of putting it to the motor, it puts it to the track, and then the motor just draws it from the track. This system does the same thing, only it uses electromechanical relays to toggle over from digital to analog. And because you're using a resistor controller with an external power supply, that's how the analog signal is delivered to the track.
Okay. So
So you
they're
don't need chips. So instead of having a button for each lane to program one chip then the other,
mm-hmm.
you don't need those buttons to program analog mode, because you're just using like a standard, like
It's just
your
lighting up
wood
all
route.
the
It's
track.
basically like putting a wood routed electrical system onto a plastic track.
Okay.
And then this switch is just simply to toggle over the electromechanical relays to flip flop from one source type to the other.
And okay, so let's talk about briefly what can and can't be in the track when the axle box is installed, because there are a few items that need to be taken care of first. So
Correct. Yeah. So
let's talk
with
about those.
both systems, lane isolation is paramount.
Okay.
And Carrera has been kind enough to make sure that all of their track pieces, except for one type, are lane isolated. And
Mm-hmm.
the part that needs to be modified is the curved lane changer, where you have the one standard straight piece that has a inside or outside part, and then the radius 160 that finishes off that lane change.
Right.
In both of those pieces, there's some internal jump ring that goes from one lane to the other, and it's smart why they've done it. They're basically just trying to share the power that's distributed through the track from one lane to the next, so that one lane doesn't suffer from a voltage drop or whatever.
Oh,
But
okay.
because those wires are physically in there, your Ultra 4, your standard axle box, as soon as you program one lane, it doesn't matter. That little jumper wire is going to cause both lanes to operate under one
Oh,
controller. And if you do it long enough, the circuit boards inside the axle box will suffer damage.
hmm.
Yeah, That's probably been the one most common troubleshooting call that I'll get. I'll
Right.
get someone that says, "Oh, I'm trying to program this one lane, and both cars are driving at the same time." So my first question is, send me a picture of your layout. I want to see like piece by piece
What's
what's
going on?
happening. And as soon
Yeah.
as I spot that one piece, I say, pull that out, and I'll review pages, whatever, of the instruction manual. And here's a couple extra pictures just to quickly illustrate what needs to happen. Just a couple of quick snips with some flush cuts. That's all it takes. It's only a few minutes.
Yeah, I remember it being a conversation for a while, and people being somewhat unclear as to what that piece of
Mhm.
track was, and that is the only piece of track that.
That's the only one. The
Okay.
only other track piece that occasionally gets thrown in the mix that really messes things up is that lane change that forces the cars to switch.
Oh,
Yeah. In digital mode, you can have one of those in,
right.
but in analog mode, you have to have two.
Two to switch them back,
Yeah.
otherwise you're
Your
crossing
lane
the
one. Where's my
streams.
fingers here? There we go. Lane one has to divert back to where it started. Otherwise, it's basically just like crossing the two lanes. And
Yeah, I also see somebody when you only put one crossover like that in, then you're just turning the track into a one lane big track because you're always coming back onto the same track.
yeah.
I seen Chuck and Dave does it. He runs one switch over, and then it just turns the whole track into like one track as opposed to two
Mm-hmm.
lanes, and makes it that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't work in an analog situation because both lane one and lane two would be tied together
Well, that would be
at some
interesting,
point. Throwing the second one in there allows the cars to divert back to where they originated from.
right? Because you'd have to, otherwise, he literally bring you
Yeah.
back to
Yeah,
crossing the
it's just
stream
a one
scenario.
lane track. Yeah, at that point, basically. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Hey, Chuck B, thanks for joining us, brother. I appreciate it. Chris is in the house. Oh, two Chris's. There's the other Chris. Thanks for joining us, Chris. And Chris, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. And I've had so many messages about the Ultra 4. Hopefully that is translated into order for Alex. Well, that's the point here tonight, too. We're going to try and get the Axle Box out there a little bit. There are people in our community who have these great inventions for everyone to share. These ideas are not limited to one person. Everybody should be sharing in this. The price is absolutely, we've talked about, financially, this is probably your best option. If you're going to buy Carrera, you're obviously going to buy digital at some point. And I suggest everybody should have, this should be standard issue, should be an axle box. Um, once again, it's much cheaper than pick 5 of your best cars, chipping them. You're, you know,
Yeah.
Canadian product,
Who
great
who
guy.
out there who out there only has 5 cars? That's
Right.
the big question, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Guarantee there's always 5 cars each year that come out that everyone just can't pass up. Yeah.
My bank
Yeah.
account definitely will tell you I have more than 5 cars.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
I really only got big into the large scale in the last year. Been doing slot cars for a while now, but man, there's so many great liveries out there, bro. We can go on
Yeah.
forever about
Yeah.
how great the large scales are.
Hmm.
There's just so much good stuff out there. HSF Racing, all right. I always say I love this guy's thumbnail.
Thumbnail's cool. Yeah.
Hey, brother. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. All right. And Pistol Pete. Yeah. Hughes Garage under just installed his in his latest video.
Hmm. I haven't
So
seen that yet. I haven't seen
there,
that yet.
that
I've
would
been
be one of your Australian guys.
one of many. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing how many guys are down there that use slot cars.
Oh, it's crazy. It reminds me of like how Canada is kind of. It sort of has that very unique feel to
Hmm.
the hobby. The U.S. is so crazy huge when you think about it in terms of slot cars.
Yeah.
But I think Canada and Australia are like will never be as big as the United States, but I
No.
think we
No.
all sort of have that. Like I noticed there's lots of large HO groups in
Mhm.
Australia and in Canada. There's the same thing. You could find, HO is huge, but it's HO. I thought growing up, I thought HO was like a North American thing. All my friends had HO. I didn't personally know anybody who had large scale. You know, large scale wasn't even really a thing for me until about 5 years ago, and then I really got heavy into it. And then I met Raul from Conquest Racing Club, and he got me into it. Sort of took my hand, hooked me
Showed
up
you
with
the way. Yeah.
few things, like that's really what it takes. You just need that
Yeah.
one person who's willing to take that effort
Yeah.
and just show somebody the way. Like that's
Yeah.
sort of the whole point of this. It's always been like, if anything, if you're a channel in my section, then I want you to be seen and I want you to be heard, right? Because the whole point of Monday Night Slot Car Live is we go live with the community.
Mhm.
And the whole point of this show is to keep everyone in the loop, right? I don't just narrow it down to HO or large scale. I try and do a mix of everything. Lately, there's been absolutely zero for HO, so finding
Mhm.
content for HO has been pretty hard lately because new cars haven't come out from Auto for 10 months now. So but all these awesome liveries, the Marcos, the new 510s that are about to come
Mhm.
out, and I'll be chipping those as well. So I'll have 4 510s rolling around my track, all lit up, looking
Nice.
good. And here Marty's talking about once you go to an analog controller, game changer. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Personally, I would be on a Defelco. I really like Jim. He's a good guy, and I know he's building them sitting in his living room. So at least
So
that's what he was
that's
doing last year during the Olympics, Winter
yeah.
Olympics. When I
Sometimes I watch TV while I'm soldering circuit boards.
right,
Yeah.
so
Sometimes.
it's just what you do, right?
Yeah.
You have a great idea and you make it happen. Took me long enough. I can speak to that. Took me long enough. Yeah, the curve change, right? I like my analog. Here we go. Mr. Motor Controller down the road, better controller with the adjustables. Yeah, it also, the money you spend also depends on your level of, I guess, how far into the hobby you are, kind of thing. You don't want to go out and buy the lightsaber when you can't even wield a dagger. So you're gonna want to move forward, and like you're doing it the right way. You're checking it out, and
Yeah.
then once you've figured out, this is what you
Yeah.
want. It's an investment, right? This
For
all this
sure.
equipment is investment. The AXEL box is an investment for me because now I don't have to worry so much about buying cars that I need to chip, unless, of course, I want to specifically run them digital way, each car
Mhm.
individually. But I only have the 510s in that respect. So they're the only premium cars I have that are chipped with a Carrera light chip. So,
Yeah.
um, but otherwise, you really don't need that. It's absolutely not necessary. Like once you have the ability to chip each lane, then it's wide open.
Yeah. Yeah. Save your chip money for future cars. 'Cause
That's
each one of
exactly it.
those chips, you buy two chips, you could have bought a new car.
Yeah,
It comes down to right.
right. Especially in Canada where you're paying $90
Yeah.
a car.
Oh man. Yeah.
So that literally is two
Yeah.
Carrera chips.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about you, but in Calgary here, there's one store that sells slot car stuff with any effort made, but it's all Carrera digital, and they've got a couple Skeletric stuff, and that's it. They don't stock any of these other high end brand cars, so it's all for me. It's all LEB Hobbies, Slot Car Corner, wherever I can find them. eBay, a lot of them from eBay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see,
That's
and for me, it's I try and buy all my premium cars from local here in Canada from Light Tech Warren. Warren at lighttechslots.ca. Wow.
mhm.
He's got such a great selection of all the premiums, even the higher end stuff. He's got
Yeah.
such a great knowledge. It's absolutely amazing. And of course, Billy and Amanda at Sunday Slot Cars.
Hmm.
Um, they're another Canadian Carrera
Yeah.
dealers who are absolutely fantastic. Everybody, now that I've found these people, and then of course, there's all the other great places that we all deal with as part of our Discord group, Slot Yard. We have a list of the retailers and what countries they're from. So when you're
Hmm.
looking for a retailer, you can look it up in the country, and that's where it will be. Some we've gone through quite a little ways to get things the way it's going in Discord right now. Joe and Pete have done a fantastic job of getting it up and going. So to them, hats off. There's a lot of people there. So um,
Hmm.
and yeah, so let's see. Four lane digital is interesting race night. Yeah, you have two lanes that are faster than the other two, and they're not usually. Yeah, right,
Oh,
Les.
really? Hmm.
Yeah, it's all about getting into the pit.
Yeah.
Uh-huh,
Yeah. That would be interesting to check out.
for sure. Yeah, a full out four lane digital. That would be pretty interesting. You don't really see too much of that. There is a few channels that are doing that right now, but not many. But
You
it's
got to
really
have
cool.
people with slot car experience to run pit lane. I've had 6 people on the track, and they're all just buds that want to race, but they don't. There's no, there's no. I shouldn't say there's no skill, but there's definitely a lack of skill in some
Yes.
regards. And yeah, I'm thankful that they're all the digital cars because they get thrashed and
Oh man.
yeah, well, they get bumped into each other and yeah, it's.
See, we're about to start our night racing, and that's with the 510s
Mm-hmm.
on the digital. So they're lit up nice. You can actually see what's going on. I know when you try and do night racing with Carrera cars, it's like kind of like, oh, I seen that light go by. Woo!
Mm-hmm.
Here it's
Yeah.
like all lit up and everything looks really good. So I'm really looking forward to that and seeing how it goes because that was one of the main features. Um, I really because I want to get 4 cars on the track, which is the reason why I chipped the 510s. Otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
I was absolutely perfect with running the 510s on the AXEL box.
Yeah.
The biggest thing about the 510s, and we all know it was the tune. The tuning of the 510 was key. Without that, you don't even have a 510 that's running. 510 is probably one of the cars I've learned the most about tuning just because
Mm-hmm.
there's so much that needed to be done with that car and the chassis so incredibly small. And then I got to put a digital chip in there and the 510 chassis doesn't even have the holes or the slot for
Yeah.
the switch or the optic eye.
Right.
So I was only able to get the optic eye in. I didn't bother with the switch. Uh,
Yeah. The switch
right.
really isn't needed unless you want to change the direction on the track.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's not important. I'll just drill
No,
the hole and
not
put
at
the
all.
eye in. So the
Yeah.
chip actually sits crooked. So, but it works. They both work just fine. I used a piece of tack to keep them in.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but
Nice.
so what's your favorite car to run when you're slot?
Oh, favorite class. If we go class, I've I was kind of when I got into the career side of things, I was very kind of Skeletrix. I saw them in the store. I went, I don't really have any interest in those cars, and they just kind of seemed, equal toy grade as Carrera. And then I finally bit the bullet, and I bought these 3 Ford Escort cars, and they are so much fun to drive.
Yeah.
Took the magnets out, put some decent tires on them, did some tuning, get some weight in there, and they they're hilarious to drive. They're fun to drive, but every once in a while you'll get them up on 3 wheels, and you'll see the lights on them go out because the braids have made it off the track.
Nice.
But you put that car in the hand of someone that's got a little less experience. Just turn down the voltage a little bit, and they're laughing with you. They're a really fun class car. I could grab them, but
So this, there we go. So here's here's a good question, and I've been asked this by a few people, and I'm very curious to know what the creator says about this. But what do you suggest is the for a for a digital Carrera track? What do you suggest is the right voltage?
if you're running with the type of AXEL box you have, the stock power supply voltage is the voltage that I would recommend at a minimum. There was an individual who I'm pretty sure I troubleshooted with him for 2 months. There was, aside from the voltage issue that it ended up being, there was wiring errors that we had to fix. He had a very complicated setup that required a lot of modifications. And in the end, the very last troubleshooting solution was the fact that he was running the voltage too low. I think he was running it at 12 volts, and in digital mode at 12 volts, those little mechanical switches that toggle the cars from one lane to the other, they were starving of power.
Okay.
So I asked him, that was the very last question, because I didn't think it would be, I didn't think it was a necessary question, but I asked him, so you're running a secondary external power supply. What voltage are you running at? Well, 12 volts. 12 volts is what we run at. So you need to turn it up to 14.8, or I think even the 124 scale power supply is 18 volts.
Yeah,
so not the voltage, and that cured every error that he was experiencing on his track.
Oh, man, hey, just tear your hair.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. I mean, there was countless other things that we had to correct. Just the complexity of his track required, a high level of jump ring, and he'd made a couple of his own little modifications that we had to make sure were compatible with the digital analog converter.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, it works great, and he's happy with it. And he's got the same setup as you, where there's the primary AXEL box, and then he's got 4 of those stop buttons with the pace car. I've got a sample here.
Oh yes, yeah. Right on. I was hoping to get to this.
Looks like that. Awesome. Where's the camera? There we go.
Yeah.
So he's got 4 of these.
Nice.
Yeah.
And explain those 2 buttons if you don't mind. You got 3 buttons.
Yeah. Let's see if I can get the text orientation right.
There you
go.
So
for those that are unfamiliar, this one allows you to call the pace car out from any driver station.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, bro.
Very close up there. Yeah, there you go. You can see the pace car. So basically, it just parallels off the CU button. So any one driver that wants to call the pace car out can do so just by pushing it once, and then they can send the pace car back by pushing it again.
Oh, nice.
And then the start stop button on the CU as well is just extended by this button as well. So if you want to start a race from around the corner of the track CU, you can do so without having to instruct somebody else to do it.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, talking to Shane Hughes down in Australia, he says he's really excited about this button because when he does his filming, sometimes he's on the opposite side of the track with his camera set up, and now he doesn't have to walk all the way around just to get the cars to ghost mode, drive around his track. He can just enable it, get his shot, push it again, the cars will stop dead in their tracks.
Right. Fantastic, brother. I'm completely excited for you. This is 100% fantastic. Not a person I've heard has a lick of bad to say about it. I mean, everything could be worked around, right? I mean, you have a great idea. It works. Yeah. So if something goes wrong somewhere else, the idea still works. You just need to figure out what went wrong.
That's right. Yeah.
And troubleshooting is a big thing, right?
Yeah. 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 And I've there is no limit to the amount of help that I've been willing to deliver to people. I know there's been a few people that have struggled, and electric systems sometimes scare people, and I'm there to just kind of guide them through step by step.
And of course, just a reminder that this is something that you're considering, and you're a person that's not so savvy with your
Mhm.
soldering skills, and hey, I'm that person. I used to be not a savvy person. There's no way I would have ever thought about doing that. And then I sort of had to wrap my mind around a little bit, adjust how I did things, and I was able to get it done. But if you're absolutely not sure of your skills or your ability to do it, everyone should
Mhm.
have one of these guys, and just talk to Alex, and see if the availability of this, because I'm certain that anything could be done, right? The fantastic setup he has for me. Basically, I have the basic of what you need set up. If you just have a
Yeah.
digital and you don't want anything extravagant, you just want to be
Mhm.
what I call in the door, get your foot in the door. Well, this is your
Mhm.
get your foot in the door. This is the ability to join everybody else in the Axle Box Club. And if you're not part of the Axle Box page in Facebook, go to Facebook and make sure you join the Axle Box page. Fantastic. Lots of stuff going on there, guys. Alex is always putting out new information. And if you're looking for
Yep.
info on the boxes and anything that he's making, it's all there. He posts it all the time. You may have to scroll back a bit, but that's where I found my resource to get things going. And
Mhm.
he has a super kick-ass video for the installation, which I think just about the whole entire world must have seen by now, or at least the people who at least own the Axle Box. I know I've watched it 6 times, so
Yeah.
you got
Sometimes I have to
gold
watch it
medals
too.
for me, brother. So yeah, and I'm sure everybody else is probably much of the same. Like, nobody just watches it once, right? Because it's a great video and you've taken it all in, but you haven't really sponged any of it yet.
Mm.
So you
Yeah.
go back in there and you get what you need, and it's really laid out just perfectly. So let's see. Billy and Amanda are in the house. Thanks for joining us, guys. Yeah, shout out. I always shout out my Canadians. Always.
Yeah.
Always.
They've helped me out with countless circuit or control units. I've bought maybe half a dozen from them in
Yeah,
the past year. Yeah, they've been great.
absolutely fantastic, Billy and
One of,
Amanda.
one of the few places in Canada that actually stocks them. The local places here don't have a single one.
Right, and I remember Billy talking about it too. For a while there, people were burning them out or blowing them, so he was having to order
Yeah.
extra ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we all just want to have fun, right?
Great.
So, Toju's in the house. Thank you, Toju. Welcome. Been checking out your videos lately? You got busy. Everyone's busy these days. Uh, Alex makes a great product. Blessed to have work with them. Yeah, I 100% agree with that, Marty. I definitely do. If anyone has questions about the Ultra 4, send me a message. I'd be happy to help. Absolutely. And I could do the same for the 2 lane. And of course, Alex is always available. Maybe not right this second, but he does. I can say this for a fact: he stands behind his product, and
You
that's
betcha.
really nice.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice to know. And for me, of course, everyone knows I'm such a Canadian patriot, and I push Canadians. Hey, I'll push Canadians over the cliff if I think it's going to do us all good. You're next. No, it's just nice. And remember, if you're American and you buy from Canadian, you're saving money right off the hop. That's another thing too. So our dollar sucks right now.
Yes, it
Unfortunately, that's
does.
bad for me and Alex, but it's awesome if you're an American. So keep that in mind. Your Canadian, your American dollar goes just a little bit further to getting you that Ultra 4. So keep that in mind, guys. And hey, why not? You're going to want it. Everyone else wants it. Just don't wait too long. So, all right. So, anything anything on the horizon?
Anything on the horizon? A few months ago, I put out a poll about a test bench box with a rolling. I think they call it a rolling road. Is what I've seen other older products. You have one?
No, but I'm in.
No.
If
Oh,
you're
you're
making
in.
it, I'm in. I need one. I totally need
Yeah,
one, brother. I'm in.
a friend of mine has one. And it's nice. I don't know
Yeah.
where he got it from, but I'm gonna see if I can come up with my own version of it that will stand up. As much as this other stuff I've designed does. I don't
Awesome,
want to
brother.
build something that's half-assed.
Right, and that I appreciate too. I could tell by the quality of all your builds that
Yeah,
nothing has
it
been
takes
half-assed,
time. Takes time.
because I am the anti-half-ass guy. If it's not going to
Mhm.
get done right, don't do it. Find
That's
someone who
right.
can do it right.
Yeah, yeah,
Because the last thing, especially when it comes to stuff like this, you just don't want a whole bunch of flimsy crap all over your table.
no,
Being
no,
well built, right? And I know it's not a lot; it's just a button or it's a control box, but it's it's built,
hmm
and nobody's
yeah,
gonna break it or bump it
no,
or knock it off or
that's
that
right.
kind of thing.
Yeah,
It's not gonna happen that way.
yeah, that's probably the only product yet in the works. Um, but if there's anybody out there that's looking for something, I'm all ears. I know there's lots of other products out there. I bought a product similar to what I was planning on making. It was a little more simplified,
Right.
just to see what other people are making. And but
Fantastic.
yeah, the slot cars it's a wide world, but there seems to be a very narrow need on things like this. And if there's ever some growth in one area where there's a product in need, then that's something that I definitely will chase down.
I agree, and that's a good point too, because what I found in our hobby here is, if you come up with a really savvy idea and
Hmm.
it has a decent value to it, people will buy it,
Yeah,
because there's not a lot of that going on right now. Is certainly none of the large scale companies are making anything like the Rolling Road or that
yeah.
kind of thing. And this is the equipment that we all want or we all wish we had. And
Hmm.
those of us who have the money will own it. It's just like that.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I mean? Like the Rolling Road. Well, how many do you want? Right? If I had the
yeah,
money, I would take 10, because I
yeah.
would want.
There's a product I saw a couple weeks ago where there's some sort of Bluetooth based app that connects to your phone that shows you motor RPM, and like that. A product like that will trump anything that I can make. That's far more complicated
Right.
piece of equipment than I could ever develop. But I don't know what the cost of that item is. So if someone's just looking for a test bench to put a fixed voltage to a car to run a motor in, then that's something that I'm willing to put out for those
Right.
folks that don't want to invest in that
And
higher end gadget.
e- even before you leave tonight, by the looks of it, here's Marty. I was wondering if that was going to come to
Mm,
fruition.
yeah,
Cool. Look
yeah,
forward to it.
yeah,
So you got two of us, and we haven't even asked people in the comment section. So
yeah,
let's
yeah.
throw it out there. Anybody would be interested in a rolling road made by AXEL Box? Speak now, because it's time. This could be the difference between whether he starts work tonight or tomorrow.
I've got sample materials. I've been buying some electronic components just to kind of see how things would fit together. I want to make it as compact as possible, but it'll be scaled appropriately for 124 scale, 125th scale for those that like to scratch build, and it should work down to I'd like to make it small enough so that it works with 143rd scale. I don't know if HO stuff would work on it, but try and make it as useful as possible in the smallest package is what I'm kind of aiming for.
Yeah. Chris, heck yeah. So
Yeah.
there's three.
Okay. Yeah. I mean
Seems like a worthy
that's enough.
idea.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm,
completely
I'm
excited, brother.
that
And
makes
I know,
four, including myself.
yeah. So
Yeah. it's worth
And
it.
I could honestly tell you, I can go into slot yards and post that this is a thing you're considering,
Yeah,
and I'm sure you would have a few more people. It's a legitimate idea, and I can tell you right now,
yeah,
they're not readily available enough,
yeah, yeah. And
especially like
that's
the one that you're gonna make,
yeah, and
right?
that might be the case as to why it would be worthwhile. Is if I've seen Tamiya used to make one and it looked like it was from the '80s. I don't know if they're still making those.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So, you know, like I was saying, the price point. It's all about a price point. It's all about the want,
yeah,
and obviously already you have
mm,
you know a few people
yeah,
already who float.
yeah. And it based upon the components that I've already purchased for my prototypes, it would be fairly inexpensive. I would probably peg it to be 60, 70 US dollars at the most.
Right, and I see a Hyundai all day Canadian to me seems very
Yeah,
legitimate
yeah,
for what you're offering.
yeah. Just it needs to be for what it is. It's just a couple of electronic parts and some 3D printed
Right, and of
stuff, right?
course here this don't suppose you can make an HO dyno.
See the dyno part. I don't know how the dyno part would interact with a like this other gadget that's for sale connects to a cell phone, and there's that's totally out of my
Right,
capabilities. But I mean, there's not saying it's not possible, but it's definitely not in the cards at the moment.
right.
Yeah.
Hey Bryce, thanks for joining us once again. Another Canadian. This is Bryce Castleman. He lives on Vancouver Island. Thanks for joining us, brother. Yeah, right now there's this huge void for anything like that HO wise.
Mhm.
So I just thought I'd throw it out there. Maybe you knew what was going on with those. I don't.
See, I'd be fearful of building anything for HO because then it'll just suck me into the HO world.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm already
Yeah.
walking that line. It's a very
Yeah.
expensive line to walk, man. So
Yeah.
you
I see
kind
the
of gotta.
price of those cars and I'm thinking tiny little HO 132nd scale, same price point.
So you're gonna get that one of these
Yeah.
or this one
Yeah. It's
for
tough. It's a tough sell. You say one of those or one of those?
one of those.
Yeah.
71 plus dollars.
Yeah.
Or of course you throw in a couple more bucks and you get one of these.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, it doesn't
Yeah.
really take much to figure out, and
Mhm.
innovation, man,
Yeah.
totally
Yeah.
right. HO, no innovation. Track hasn't changed since 1964.
Yeah.
True story. That's too bad. A little bit more effort, but they do what they do, and people float away and float back. But like I said, there hasn't been anything that happened in the
Yeah.
HO world now in 10 months, so it's
Hmm.
really easy to have people drift to another scale, especially when that other scale has everything you always wanted in a slot car. I want to be able to switch lanes. I want to be able to rear end my buddy while we're racing. I want to be, I want more than two cars on the track. Me and
Hmm.
my brother used to race analog, but we had put two cars on the track,
Right.
So, this
What
kind
what what kind of innovation would you be looking for HO as an HO user?
for me, it's Pete from Show Me Slot Cars. He built a track using Arduino,
Mm.
and I can't remember what
Is it
system.
just for the timing? Is that
Well,
what?
what he's doing is he's using it for timing. He's got a designated fuel up area, so he's got
Okay.
sensors in the track, and he's
Right.
got it so that when the track stops or someone crashes, the lights on the track change color accordingly.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so he's done some really great stuff,
That's
and
interesting.
yeah, he's another guy who's got like this really fantastic mechanical electrical mind kind of thing, sort of like
Right.
you, right? Like I said, this is not something I would come across. I know it's something I need, but it's
Hmm.
not something that like sitting around. I've just finished 12 beers. The last thing I could think of would
Yeah.
would do that kind of. I would just be thinking about playing, like racing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the ideas are scrolling through my head on how to make a standalone thing that you could integrate into a track, something that would do all of those tasks at the same time. Like trying to make it as small and simplified as possible is critical, because not everyone wants to look at a super complicated wiring diagram to get something like that to work. You need to make it as simplified as possible. So I'd be interested in investigating what this HO world needs to come up with some device that would make it as simple as possible and
Well,
keep it reasonably priced too. It needs to be
I actually
reasonable.
think you could start with like a HO rolling road.
Yeah.
The one that I just seen
Mhm.
is $159, 159
Yeah.
Canadian, and it's literally it
Seems
actually
like a lot for something that's geared for something so small. Yeah.
it you see it's kind of uh if you want it, you're gonna have to pay for it. Stuff
Mm.
in the HO
Yeah.
world right now is it's
Yeah.
all it's really. I can go on. This could be a whole nother show just on that alone, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's getting a little crazy. Some of the auction prices for cars, they're getting out of hand. But there's a lot of machinery, and when I mean machinery, I mean like we need rolling roads, dynos, downforce meters, and all this kind of stuff, right? These are all stuff where nobody's
Mhm.
really stepped up.
Right.
Like yourself, um, to do what Pete did to his track at his dad's place. Um, it's not a simple thing. Although it could be if the major companies said, "Hey, what are you doing there? Do you mind if we
Yeah.
use
Yeah.
that?"
If they took notice, yeah.
Yeah.
I was surprised when Carrera released their, was it earlier this year, they came out with that hybrid. So
Oh,
someone sent a message to me thinking, "Do you think this is Carrera's opportunity to steal your idea and do the digital analog thing?" And I just kind of went, you know what? If that's what it is, that's great. That's what they should be doing. And then I saw the hybrid system. I went, I don't really know if that's what this industry needs, but that's,
no.
I'm not sure if anyone in this chat would be running to the store to pick up a Carrera hybrid system. I've seen the cars that they're showing on their little demo videos, and they don't look any
Yeah.
more detailed than they look like they're taking a step backwards in my opinion. But
That's the old Anki overdrive.
yeah.
Um,
I remember buying that for my nephew
right. And how
nine
does their
9 years
story
ago.
go?
It was
How
yeah.
long did the vehicles run for? This was my biggest problem.
Yeah, I can't recall.
We'd get like 5 minutes, and that
Yeah.
would be it. It
Yeah,
was a
I'm
great
sure
idea.
that the tech's probably improved, but I think
Yeah. Well, I think battery storage is a good thing now too, right?
yeah.
5-7 years ago, this is the problem with sort of like Auto World's wireless
Yeah.
controllers. Auto World
Mhm.
has not made a way like Carrera has to get into them and change the batteries.
Right.
They sealed it up and kept the
Yeah.
consumer out of it. So
Yeah. I just can't see, the folks that build slot tracks with scenery and stuff. I don't think this hybrid stuff's going to be compatible with scenery. I don't think you'll be able to get the elevation changes to be as crisp. And yeah, I agree. I saw another comment there from DeLeon asking about does a Carrera digital controller unit with your box perform better? You know what? I've never met anyone that's used it for drag strip, but the chips that are installed in the box are all 1/24 scale spec, so there's nothing stopping you from using it for that purpose. I'm trying to think of what you would use alternatively to run analog cars other than just a Carrera analog track control unit. But then you're stuck with those really low end controllers that that set comes with. So going to a digital control unit with AXEL box, so you can do your I guess you wouldn't need digital drag cars; they would strictly be analog. But then you'd be able to use wireless controllers in that sense too. That would be a way around that. I saw another message. Someone was asking about if there's a chicken being choked or killed, or that's my 2-year-old is inside the house and she's shouting immensely loud.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I've got the garage door propped open to let the Wi-Fi in, and I can hear her shouting at the top of her lungs. So I apologize for the noise.
Hey everyone, late tuning in. This is All Scales. Thanks for joining us, brother. I appreciate it. Welcome.
It's a nice looking track in the thumbnail there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a decent track.
Yeah.
He's got a good. This is his Carrera one. He's got a HO track as well too, if I remember correctly. See it on Facebook lots, and he's on YouTube as well too. So
nice.
Did we mountain biking? Oh, here we go. Mountain biking.
YouTubing in the mountains. That's impressive.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I'll keep an ear out for you, DW.
Listening at 5,000 elevation. All right. Hey, we're going everywhere. You see, that's why I want to go to do a live from the top of Whistler Mountain, because while you're on the top of Canada and the world, for that matter.
Yeah.
So, that's my big thing. Next year when we go to BC, the back of my track there is just a white wall. I'll be taking a panoramic picture, just like wedding pictures. So I'll have that, and then it'll give me that look. You know, just I don't know. Have you ever been? You're from
Calgary.
You're from Calgary, so have you ever been skiing up the mountains and that kind of thing?
I'm not much of a skier, snowboarder. I took up snowmobiling about 7 years ago, and that's my winter sport. Yeah.
Oh, snowmobiling's fantastic,
just
man.
A couple hours out to Revelstoke or Golden. Yeah, it's
Revelstoke is. Every time we're in Revelstoke, it all ends the same way. We get out of the vehicle to stretch our legs, and it's like you're inside a hockey rink. The air is so crisp and cool.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Love it there, man.
It's a beautiful town. Yeah,
love it. Yeah. So we always drive. So we do a drive through. We used to drive straight through in 22 hours, but we stopped doing that because by the time we got there, we were like, hey, don't fall asleep.
Yeah.
So we were like, this is not gonna work anymore. We can't do that shit. So. Plus, I don't want to be that jacked up on energy drinks again.
No. The last 2 hours of that drive is the most treacherous. So being on your game is critical. Yeah.
Now we just stay in Banff. Well, we drive to Banff. We stay the night, and we go from Banff straight through. So my brother still lives there. We go there a fair amount of time now. But just love it. Yeah. Oh yeah. See, Bryce can attest to that. He's awesome enough to live there, so it's pretty good. Nice scenery, but Calgary's a nice place too. I've been there a few times. Yeah, very big place, very busy downtown, very busy. All right. So does anybody have any questions? I guess we'll see if there's some questions in the house.
Yeah, we might have missed something previously, but feel free to reply again.
Sun Energy Diamond car, career controlling, fix that. Got my own piece of pit lane right now. And I got caught editing a video. Awesome. Well, that means you're busy putting out content. Fantastic. Just what we all need. All right. So definitely looking forward to the rolling road. Fantastic. It sounds like a great idea.
I'll get back to work on it. It's been a while since I've looked at that model, but it's something that I'll address, and maybe I'll try and get it ready for Christmas.
Christmas
present to yourselves.
Oh, that sounds awesome, man.
Yeah, I'll build a prototype for myself just to make sure that it's it's going to stand the test of time, because the last thing I want is for it to last 12 months. I want it to last 12 years. That's the intent.
And I can tell you right now, just to be honest with everybody out there, my honest opinion is that this AXEL box will last probably longer than I will. I'll be dead, and somebody will still be playing with this AXEL box. I'm absolutely serious. It's built so good. It's sturdy. It has that feeling of quality to it, which is very important in my world, because I'm not a half-assed person. Nothing gets done half-assed. Once again, if you can't do it correctly, then you're going to hire somebody to do it correctly, because there's no sense having that, especially when you enjoy it as much as we do in our hobby. Slot cars, let's face it, I mean, we all have our tracks. Our tracks all look different. We all enjoy them just like the next guy. For me, when I come down to my track space and I have the 10 by 13 HO track, which has 3 HO tracks in it. I have a drag strip urban track with lots of changes and turns, and I have the super speedway on the outside. That's the 10 by 13 part. And then of course I have the Carrera track, which is, for the most part, it's a 9 by 22, and fantastic. At any point in time, I come down here, I'm able to disappear into the slot car world, right? It makes everybody smile when you say that and when they think about it, because when you mention it, they instantly think about it in their mind, and it instantly brings a smile to everybody's face. It's all the same thing. It's always a giggle, a smirk, or a straight out smile, because we all know we're all enjoying for the same reason. It helps us be in our own place.
That's right.
So, Alex, thank you very much for being here tonight.
Yeah, it's nice to join you.
I'm sure everybody's learned a whole heck of a lot of goodness tonight. I know I have. You've certainly clarified a few of the issues that some people have been having just alone. I'm sure we'll have, you'll be flooded for sure with Rolling Road. Rolling Road.
I'll check. I put out a one of those Facebook votes or whatever it's called out to see who would be interested. And there was quite a few responses, and I spent a few hours on design.
Add me to that, and I'd add Marty, add Chris, add anybody else who heard us today. And you know what? I can even probably tell you Anthony Bateman Sr. here is going to want one, because I know he's the kind of guy who's going to have one. I can tell you that right now. I thank you very much, De Leon. He's actually into HO dragsters now. I sent him a few and got him going. His son has a picture with Robert Height. He's like one of the top dragster guys, and he's got a picture with his son. So as soon as he said that, I immediately was like, I need to send you these cars, Robert Height cars. So he showed me the picture of him with his son, with Robert Height, and I was just blown away, man. Absolutely. And I'm always into sending HO cars to guys in the larger scale, just because I'm always promoting HO. Now that I'm a large part of HO are as large scale, I try and do a full immersive thing, so that everyone feels like there's something to come here for. HO, like I said, it'll pick up, but for now, I think it's all about large scales right now, and it's not because that's how I want it to be. That's just because how it is. That's how it is. So AFX put out 3 cars in the last 9 months, and Auto World put out nothing. So that's where HO is right now. There's a lot of good chassis of private companies coming out. That's probably where HO is going to start heading in the future. But for now, it's largely about the large scale, and that's what brought us here today. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today in the comment section. I absolutely appreciate it. Just a quick push. if you guys, I'd appreciate it. Maybe think about becoming a member. It's as little as 99 cents Canadian. So if you're American, that's like 75 cents a month. And you can become a part of the SVR pit team. And with that, what I will be doing right away is I'll be starting builds that I'll only be going live for members. Other people will see the object on my track, but if you guys know Pete from Track Fans TV, he spends his member time building magnetic racing buildings and that kind of thing, and other cars projects, and I think that's a good idea. So I got a fair amount of members now, and if we can grow just a little bit more, then doing something like this will definitely be worthy. So, guys, I want to thank you very much, everybody, for being here tonight. I absolutely appreciate it. It was an absolutely fantastic night, and I'm happy to have everybody here. So, Alex, I thank you very much for being here tonight, brother. You're more than welcome.
Very welcome. It's great. It's great to join you. Yeah.
Join me on my channel anytime you like, brother. When you come out with the rolling road, let's have a talk. Let's get it out there. So,
sounds great.
For everyone tonight, I want to thank you all for being here. And don't forget, get your heart racing.